Hi Leo, and welcome to your mid-month reading. This is for anybody that has their sun, moon, rising, midheaven, and or Venus in the sign of Leo. Nonetheless, if you found yourself here, I'm sure there is a message for you, and I pray that it finds you well. Let's go ahead and get straight into your reading. What came out for you energetically was the Queen of Wands, followed by the King of Swords and the Two of Cups with the Death card. And then as far as the obstacles at this time that you may be experiencing, if you have not yet experienced it, you have the Chariot card, followed by the Ace of Wands and the Eight of Wands. Last row, coming into the end of July, and ways or steps that you can take to move forward out of these energies, right? You have the Knight of Swords with the Three of Wands and the Ace of Swords with the Six of Pentacles. Straight off the bat, what I'm picking up, especially with the obstacles position, is you're supposed to put your pride aside and ride for me. That lyric out of that Drake song. This is you needing to put your pride or your ego aside and move out of this conflict that you have been experiencing. As well with this Chariot card, I do know that the sun is in the sign of Cancer. So if you have a lot of fire in your chart, which is what is coming up in this spread, then it may be conflicting energies, right, within yourself, and wanting to be more aggressive, impulsive, potentially self-destructive, and or detached and aloof than you normally are, right? But you're needing to be cautious, especially with the Death card. I believe Pluto, something's happening with Pluto as well on a planetary level, but this is all about transmutation, making sure that your behavior is not going to affect the relationships that you have been establishing, right? I'm hearing don't burn your bridges. So, and I'm seeing that especially here with this Ace of Wands and the Eight of Wands. Don't burn your bridges by acting out at this time, because there are potentially some emotions that you're trying to suppress that have not yet been dealt with, and so you can very easily project that out in your interactions with other people. You need to figure out a way to transform or transmute that energy, lay it to rest, right, so that you can move forward. I'm also getting, if you guys are involved in work or like some type of creative project that requires a lot of inspiration or motivation, like you have to be a highly motivated individual and a very organized individual. I'm seeing that for those of you who have not grown up that way, you're having a little bit of difficulties with how to structure the business. I'm seeing that with this. Some of you are being pulled into different directions. It's like maybe you and whoever is in your external environment, right? You guys just see things very differently. You guys have very different approaches. This Eight of Wands in the traditional tarot deck, it's like wands shooting up like every which way, right? So this is a disorganized type of energy. That's also why I was picking that up. So it's like somebody that shoots for the stars, but there really is no aim, there really is no focus. And then somebody has a focused, clear path, a clear way of doing something. And so that can be causing some conflict, especially if you're in a business partnership. You guys are just very two different individuals altogether. And I feel like you have to come to realize that no two people are the same, right? Everybody has personality traits that work to their benefit and to their detriment, but it's not really passing judgment on anybody and just coming more from a place of compassion and understanding. Help them in the way that you can. They should as well be able to do that for you, right? And then you just move forward once that business deal is done. but it's understanding and needing to have an appreciation for individual differences. There we go. So I'm picking that up as well. Coming into the end of the month, you guys need to not put more on yourself than you can handle with this Nine of Swords energy and the Three of Wands. Don't be afraid to ask for help, especially if you're trying to jumpstart a business. You've started a startup, right? Something again in the more creative or technical field. You are running out of time to do everything, so don't be afraid to ask for help. Don't be afraid to hire somebody and train somebody up to help you run your business. And if you feel like you are better with sending emails as opposed to verbal communication, right, face-to-face interaction, because you feel like sometimes you might be misunderstood, the intent of what you mean to say doesn't really read across that well, like it's not always well received, then don't be afraid to get in contact with people via email. I'm seeing that as well. Send a message instead of speaking out or trying to have a face-to-face conversation. At some point you will though, so you definitely need to work on that as well. Work on your throat chakra, because there is a lot of blue that is coming through for you guys. But don't be afraid to try a different approach as well. I'm getting, if somebody has helped you in the past to get off of your feet, then in the future understand that, you know, that to whom much is given, much is required. So at some point you will too be put in a position where you need to help somebody else. It might potentially be the same person that you've helped or that helped you in the past. So do consider that. You might be hearing communication from that type of person who helped you before with a favor, right, that you needed, and it's your turn to return the favor. There we go. But don't turn your back on anybody as well. Don't be afraid to ask for a raise, to be promoted within your company. If you've been working with somebody for X amount of time and you feel like you have really showcased your capabilities in the workplace, the potential and the value that you bring to the company, don't be afraid to ask what you need to do next to be considered for a promotion, right? Don't be afraid to ask for constructive criticism so that you can be a better example for those that are coming up underneath you in the workplace, or just if this is in general as it pertains to your own life and wanting to be a more positive role model. I'm definitely getting that with the Queen of Wands too, wanting to make those changes to be a more positive role model, to be that leader, or just ways you can personally develop as a person, coming to acknowledge what those flaws are that you need to work on, and wanting to be shown ways through however signs or however you come in contact with spirit, right, to be shown how to move forward in that way to make those changes. So that could be the type of messages that come through, especially under dream state. With the Venus and Leo energy, again, just be careful, because I'm seeing a lot of wands. You can very well be really attractive at this time, or somebody may be attractive to you at this time, but just use your discernment coming into the mid-month, because if you are in a relationship, you don't want to do anything that could potentially jeopardize that, right? So that might be something that you are torn in between, as far as making that type of impulse decision, and having potentially like a one-night stand with somebody and then ghosting them. That came through. And then feeling guilty afterward because you know that you were in a relationship, and then that coming to a head and you have to try to beg and plead to get your partner back, and trying to get them to hear you out and your reasoning, what you were thinking when you made that decision. Are those problems that you really want? You know, you need to gauge that this month. If you're completely single though, definitely get out and mingle. There's nothing wrong with that. but there could be a lot of sexual tension with Venus still being in Leo, right? And Leos are very just sexual, sensual people. So you could very well be attracting a fire sign, Leo, Sagittarius, Aries, have that within your own nature, or just be feeling very sexually frustrated. So, you know, I can't tell you what to do, but it is safer to relieve yourself than to have somebody else help you. So keep that in mind. But as long as you are grown, you're 18 or older, and at this point you definitely have a conscious and common sense, then, you know, just make the decision that you feel is the best for you at this time, right? There really is no wrong choice. A lesson in everything, a blessing in most things, but, you know, heed your own personal intuition. And I'm also getting that because I'm seeing a lot of purple with the Ace of Wands in the obstacles position, and Jason, this character, or no, this is Jason, I forget, y'all, but the purple, that's what matters in this instance, right? Talking to your third eye chakra and your intuition. And then in the outcome position you also have this figure, I believe that's Kronos, also in purple. So work on that as well, your root chakra. And again, just to reiterate, the throat chakra needs to be worked on so that you're not lashing out and or speaking harsh, like really thinking or speaking without thinking. So just get that in check. Your heart chakra as well, it might be a little underactivated, so bring that back into balance. If you're single and you've been waiting for somebody to come along, I'm getting that in this first row with the Queen of Wands, the King of Swords, and the Two of Cups with the Death card. Hey, you might have to just let that go. The moment you stop thinking about the thing that you desire the most is when it comes to you. So if you have not yet been lucky in love, don't give up, but don't be a hermit and just keep to yourself, right? And be this detached individual, this bitter individual, right? Be about balance and harmony, and just have that like stubborn faith that what you want wants you, and it's on its way to you. For some of you, that is what you've been struggling with. For some of you, especially with this Two of Cups and this Death card, you might be trying to or thinking about reconciling with somebody that is your opposite, but that you are really attracted to, that you might feel is a soulmate. Regardless of either situation that you might be in, don't do this, right? Don't get in your head about it. Don't just stick with your thoughts and what you could do or what you should do or how you should move or who you feel should be the first to initiate a conversation or just whatever this is, right? And be about that action. If you haven't heard anything but you have something that you really want to get off your chest, you've been dying to say to somebody, something that you've been repressing, especially if it's somebody from the past, go ahead and reach out to them. For some of you, it will be a very positive response that you get back. If you don't do it, you can't get a response, so you're going to perceive your situation to be negative. It will never change, right? But yeah, and for some of you, you just get the closure that you need, and that just helps you move on into your next chapter and the next phase of your life once you have this conversation with this past person. I'm hearing let bygones be bygones, or that's what you want. Maybe that's what they desire. So that's what's coming through for you guys. I told you about the chakras and everything, so at this point, if this resonated with you, definitely give me a thumbs up, share this with your friends and family, and do subscribe for more. And happy birthday!